So I get on my motorbike and just ride to Siem Reap because I just love the temples. I love the ancient trees. The trees of Siem Reap are just so beautiful. The nature around Siem Reap is beautiful. I'm very grateful to have the Angkor Wat pass because I live here. I get the free pass to Angkor Wat every year. I've been to Angkor Wat temples 55 times now.
Yeah.
So Ha Sap Pram Dong Hai, and I love it. I go out there just to sit in the shade of the beautiful trees and pray, or to think, to meditate. Sometimes I write. I go out there. There's a calmness. It brings a sense of peace. You know, I know it's a common phrase in amongst the Khmer people on social media, when life hurts, Siem Reap heals, and I believe that.
Okay, so this is Hien Tong with Cambodianess, and welcome to another episode of the Gems of Siem Reap. And today we continue exploring what makes Siem Reap such a special place, not only for tourists, but also for people from, let's say, in many countries around the world who decide to make this city their home. And today we have our special guest, Mr. Tim. And Mr. Tim, he's from Australia. He has been living in Cambodia for nearly 10 years, and he's known for his community work. He teach the Cambodian children English for free, and also actively promote the Cambodian culture and the education as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Tim, for joining us today. And first of all, before we talk about our today topic, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little about your journey from the Australia to Cambodia?
Chum Reap Sur Pa Om Pra.
Chum Reap Sur.
Thank you very much for taking an interest in what I do. So yes, my name is Tim. I am from Australia. I was born and raised in Australia, and I had a mildly successful career, and I have 3 children who are all now adults in Australia. And for a lot of their childhood I was a single father, and as each of my children grew up and left home, I was wondering what I would do for the rest of my life if I'm no longer required to be their father anymore. And when my youngest daughter finished school and left home, I started to travel. I put on a backpack and started to travel, and I was wondering where I wanted to live for the rest of my life. I felt that there was something more challenging for me to do with my life, and I needed a new purpose and I needed a new mission. And I don't know why, but I chose Cambodia. At the time, I had never been to Cambodia before. I didn't know a single person here, didn't know the language, didn't know anything about it, and I bought a one-way ticket from Sydney to Phnom Penh with a backpack on, and I've been living here ever since.
Interesting. So, sir, many foreigners dream of retiring, let's say, in different countries around the world. So, for you personally, why did you choose Cambodia? And let's say, in short, why Cambodia or why Siem Reap?
I'm still trying to understand that. So I'm not retirement age yet. I finished my career in Australia too early because I was working very hard, but I didn't feel like I was making a difference to the world. I wanted to make a difference, and so I was looking for something for me to do where I can help people who need something. And I kept getting a message every time I prayed or meditated. I would be called to Cambodia, and some may call it a calling because I just trusted that instinct, and I came to Cambodia. And I came here first in 2018 and to Siem Reap, and wondering what I'm going to do now that I'm in Cambodia. And I met an NGO here in Siem Reap that teaches poor children for free, and they invited me to become a volunteer teacher. And I'm not a teacher. I'd never worked in schools before in my life, but I started volunteering here at this lovely school in Siem Reap, and I was teaching there every day, 6 days a week, 10 hours every day, all the different 600 children every day I would teach English to, and I loved it so much. And it's something that I was very good at. the children learn quickly from me, and maybe I have the same sense of humour as a child because we always have lots of fun. And I'd been at that school for many months, and I went on a holiday to Cambodia, where I met another school, and I was invited to be their teacher, and so I moved to Cambodia and became a volunteer English teacher at that school, and soon I was asked to be the school director, and so I ended up being the director of a private school in Cambodia that provides an education to poor children for free.
Can you tell us that in Cambodia, or let's say in Siem Reap or in Khmer, what attracts you the most? Was it the culture, people, lifestyle, or something else?
Yes, I think the people are the friendliest people I've ever met. The kindness, the warmth, and the generosity of the Khmer people is like nothing I'd ever experienced before. People who have nothing will still give me something. I find that everywhere I go I'm treated with respect. I'm treated with kindness. When I moved here I decided I wanted to learn the language. So Knyom Twerian, Knyom Nietzsche Pesa Kamai Bon Tik Bon Toik, Pesa Kamai Pia Bak Chran, Knyom Twerian. So I try to learn the culture, I try to learn the language. I spend time out in the villages in remote rural areas because I want to immerse myself in the Khmer culture. And that's been very important to me. I love the friendliness, I love the food, I love the simple lifestyle. I love the honesty and the integrity of the Khmer people.
So, I heard you mention that you bought a one-way ticket to Cambodia.
Yes.
That a big decision.
Yes, it was.
So, what gave you the confidence to make that choice?
I trusted my instincts. I knew I wanted something different. So I'd already finished my career in Australia. I sold my farm. I sold everything I owned, gave everything what I had left to my children. And I knew I wanted a new adventure, and I knew I wanted to live somewhere where I could make a difference. And I trusted my instincts and I chose Cambodia. And I still don't know why, but it was the right decision because here is now home. I am happy.
That's interesting. So, after living here for almost 10 years, what do you enjoy most about the everyday life living in Cambodia, or let's say Siem Reap, something like that?
Yeah. So Siem Reap is a beautiful city. As I said, I lived here first in 2018, and then I moved to Cambodia. Lived in Cambodia for 5 years. Cambodia is also a beautiful town, beautiful river, beautiful mountains, surrounded by jungle and nature. I then moved to Kep. Kep is beautiful. The national park meets the ocean with the beaches and caves. But something kept calling me back to Siem Reap, and even though I was living in Cambodia and Kep, I would often take motorbike trips. I'd get on my motorbike and just ride to Siem Reap because I just love the temples. I love the ancient trees. The trees of Siem Reap are just so beautiful. The nature around Siem Reap is beautiful. I'm very grateful to have the Angkor Wat pass because I live here. I get the free pass to Angkor Wat every year. I've been to Angkor Wat temples 55 times now.
Yeah.
So Ha Sap Pram Dong Hai, and I love it. I go out there just to sit in the shade of the beautiful trees and pray, or to think, to meditate. Sometimes I write. I go out there. There's a calmness. It brings a sense of peace. I know it's a common phrase in amongst the Khmer people on social media: when life hurts, Siem Reap heals, and I believe that.
So we know that each country, it has their own unique, like let's say culture,
Yes.
lifestyle, or people, something like that. So for you, like what make life here like different from Australia, your hometown that you were living there?
So Australia is a very privileged country. We have a very easy lifestyle, a very beautiful lifestyle. Education is available for everybody, healthcare is available for everybody. It's a very high standard of living. And I think many Australians take that for granted. They don't truly appreciate what they have because they don't know any different. And it wasn't until I started travelling the world, experiencing other cultures, I understand how lucky Australians really are. And I guess I had a very privileged upbringing. I was given a very good education. I have good health. I have a lot of work experience, and I was looking for an opportunity where I could use that experience, use my skills to make a difference in the world. And I feel, actually I have a very funny story. When I first moved to Cambodia, I thought I can teach people here. And I didn't know what, and I was out on a farm and there was a problem on the farm, and I was a farmer back in Australia, and I thought I knew all the answers, and I step in and try and fix the problems. And all these young men working on the farm looked at me like I'm crazy, and they came up with such a simple solution that took seconds to fix it. And I realised I'm here to learn, not here to teach. I have so much to learn from the Cambodian culture. Of course, I understand the history of Cambodia. I understand the trauma and the grief that this nation went through as a people. And so I have enormous respect for the resilience and the compassion and love that the Khmer people have as they try to rebuild this nation and rebuild schools, rebuild hospitals, improve education, improve the quality of life for everybody here. So it's a beautiful thing to watch.
So about your feeling,
Yeah.
what surprised you the most after living in Cambodia?
It surprised me the most. I think the biggest surprise was how quickly I fell in love with this country. It was an easy decision for me to make. I wasn't sure. I trusted my instincts, and as soon as I got here, I felt I was finally home. I'm from Australia. I was born in Australia, but I feel like I'm Khmer. I don't know why. I feel like Cambodia is my home. Everywhere I go, into a strange village that I've never been to before, the families flock to me and they open their arms and welcome me into their homes like I'm one of them. So I think I feel like family.
Mm-hmm. I heard that many people describe Cambodia as a country with a warm and welcoming people. So
Yeah.
for you, how local community influence your life after you are living in Cambodia?
Yes. I do a lot of humanitarian work since I've been here, not only in the schools, but helping sick children, helping the elderly, helping homeless people. I've built many homes for homeless families since I've been here. I think I've 9 homes now in 8 years I've built. I spent a lot of time in remote villages where I'm the first foreigner they've ever met. They don't speak any English, they've never heard English being spoken, and so I try my best to communicate with them in Khmer as they help for me to learn Khmer as well. So I always am trying to learn more about the culture. I ask, what do I need to be doing differently? How do I say this? How should I behave in this family? Always trying to understand the correct way to conduct myself. It's very important for me to show respect and honour the customs and beliefs of the Khmer people. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always trying to learn.
When I listen to your story, it means that one thing that makes your story unique is that you haven't only lived here, but also you have also dedicate most of your time to helping local community. So during the border conflict recently, you have provide fresh food and daily necessity to the Cambodian people staying at along the border area. So what motivates you to take this action?
That's the kind of work I've been doing ever since I arrived in Cambodia. Every time I see a need, I try to find a way how I can help. That's what led me to Kampot, to work in a school in Kampot. When I joined the school, there were 50 students, kindergarten and primary school, 45 boys, 5 girls. No girls were going to school in Kampot, and I couldn't understand why. And as the school director, my team and I, we would walk the streets and into the poorer villages and find the children who are not in school and invite them to our school. And when I left that school, there were hundreds of students. We had kindergarten grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and it was 50-50, half boys, half girls. I then moved to Kep, and in Kep I visited the local monastery. Wat Phnom Pon was the closest pagoda to my house. And there they had an orphanage with about 40 boys, tiny boys, little, I call them the monklets, the tiny monks with the shaved heads and the saffron robes. And so I started a school there, and I was teaching English to 36 students every day at Wat Phnom Pon. And then I found another abandoned school in a village called An Thong So near Kampong Trak, close to the Vietnam border. And there was no school in that village, so I opened a school there, and I was teaching children English every day. Hundreds of children would come to my school to learn for free. So every time I see a need, I try and find a solution as to how I can help. And I spoke earlier about being called back to Siem Reap, and I didn't know why. I kept making these trips on my motorbike to Siem Reap, and every time I came here I felt at home, I felt at peace. So like my decision to move from Australia to Cambodia, I made a decision to move from Kep back to Siem Reap because I felt this is where I needed to be. And I'd been here maybe for 1 month, and I'm out riding my motorbike around one morning, and I see the tractor pulling the wooden trailer. I call them the iron buffalo. You know, the chug, 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 chug.
Yes, yeah.
The young man with his whole family in the back. And then there's another one behind him, and then another one, and another one. There's a convoy of these vehicles coming into Siem Reap, and I was, why? What is happening? And so I followed them, and I followed them. They went to Wat Phia, very close to where we are now. And I went inside and I spoke to the monks, and then I met with the village chief, and he explained to me that these were families fleeing the border conflict with Thailand. They were coming from Bantay Mienche, Odam Mienche, Poi Pet, Tai Lin, and families were coming from everywhere. And I said, well, where will they live? They said, well, just here. They'll find space. And they said, well, what will they eat? And we said, we don't know. And I said, well, I will help. And so every day I started going to the markets. And at first there was maybe 200 people. So I buy enough fresh meat, fruit and vegetables for 200 people. But tomorrow there's now 300. And then there's 400, and then there's 600. And it just kept growing and growing. Every week more and more families would arrive, and ended up maybe 450 families, 1,200 people, and I'm buying fresh meat, chicken, pork, fish, vegetables, fruit, to ensure that everybody gets fresh nutrition and healthy food for the children, for the elderly. Most of the people arriving were women, children and the elderly. A lot of the men in the family stayed home to try and look after their family homes and sent their families away to safety. I also supplied every single family with all the equipment they need for sleeping. Sleeping mats, mosquito nets, blankets. So every family that arrived would get a gift pack of a sleeping mat, mosquito net, blanket. And I'm not a wealthy man. I don't have money to do all of this, but I'm a writer. I write stories about what I do, and I have thousands of followers in Australia who read everything I write. And I just told the story, and they said, how can we help? And so Australians were sending money to me every day to help feed everybody here at Wat Phia.
Besides your humanitarian work, education has also been an important part of your journey.
Yeah.
So you have taught the English for free to the Cambodian children. So why is education so important to you?
I think it's important to children. I think education is important to children. And I'm very good at English. My command of the English language is excellent. I have trained myself to talk very slowly and clearly when I'm talking to children. I choose words that they can easily understand. And I have fun. And they have fun. And we break it down, so sometimes I'm teaching them a, b, k, d. And sometimes I'm teaching them very complicated questions and answers depending on their capability and skill. And you know, I have students who are in my classroom who now speak better English than their school teachers do in the Khmer schools. Children here are so grateful for an education. In Australia, I think our children take an education for granted. It's just something you have to do. Here, the children are excited to go to school. They want to learn, and they want to get better, and they want to practice. And I think, you know, this country is still rebuilding, and I've watched the education system here evolve so swiftly. And the young adults that are graduating from university now have been right through school, and we now have a class of Khmer coming through that are beautifully educated, very well educated, hard-working, articulate, and I see that as the future. And if I can help ignite that passion for learning in the smallest of children, I will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have also shown a great appreciation for Cambodian culture.
Mm-hmm.
So early this year, you attended the Anchor Dictation event and praise. It's for promoting both culture and education.
Yep.
Why do you think preserving language and let's say culture is important?
Yes, so I was honoured to be invited to that, and that was a very special event, and very grateful to be included in that. And what I saw was the Khmer people of all ages, small children, elderly. There were some people, I think there was a man in his 80s was participating, passionate about preserving the Khmer language and the Khmer culture. I'm here teaching English because English is what I know, not because I believe that Khmer children need to know English. I think it's more important that they learn their own language, but learn a second language and a third language will also help them to learn more about the rest of the world, to learn about other cultures, but not at the expense of the Khmer culture. I think it's very important to preserve the Khmer language. I think it's important to preserve the art, the culture, the dance. I was fortunate, a dear friend of mine, his name is Nicholas. He's been living here in Siem Reap for 25 years. He started up a theatre company here in Siem Reap, and I visited it when I first moved here in 2018. And Nicholas and his team were training children who were living on the streets the ancient Khmer arts of making puppets and performing puppet shows out of leather hides and the Khmer traditional dance, and they would choreograph their own dance routines and their own puppet shows and then perform live. So he created a theatre company to try and preserve the Khmer culture. And I love that so much. And I think that that is such an important thing to do here. So I love the Apsara dance. I love listening to Khmer music. I love the Khmer cuisine, eating traditional Cambodian foods cooked over charcoal out in a village I love so much.
Mm-hmm. So now return to our topics.
Yes.
From your own experience, why do you think many foreigners choose Siem Reap as a place to live, work, or retire?
Okay. Look, there's a lot of different reasons why foreigners move to Cambodia. Siem Reap and Kampot, I think, are both very popular to English-speaking foreigners because a lot of the local Khmer people in Siem Reap and Kampot can speak English. I think a lot of people in Siem Reap speak English very well because of the tourism industry that has been here for some time. When I'm walking around Angkor Wat and I'm listening to all the different tour guides, this one is speaking English beautifully, this one is speaking French, this one's speaking Russian, and that one's speaking Japanese. It impresses me so much that all these young Khmer people know so many different languages in trying to help them forge a career in the tourism industry. So I think it's one of the reasons is it's easy. It's easy to move here. The Cambodian government makes it very easy for foreigners to get a visa. They welcome us here. They make it easy for us to live here. They make us feel at home, and I think that's very important. Especially when some of the neighbouring countries now, every year, are making it harder and harder for foreigners to live there. Thailand is now making it very difficult for foreigners to live there. Vietnam's making it very difficult for foreigners to live there. And Cambodia seems to make it easier and easier and welcome foreigners to come here. I also think, though, it's very important as a foreigner, if you want to move here to live, that you should embrace the culture. Okay, learn the language, enjoy the food, respect and honour the religions and the faiths and the customs of this country.
So in your opinion, like I mentioned earlier, in other country, it has its own unique lifestyle culture, the way of people live. And for you personally, what makes Siem Reap like special? Like, how do you think what's something special for Siem Reap city that you can see?
Well, one of the biggest things I noticed the difference between Siem Reap and Kampot and Kep is that Siem Reap has a sophistication to it. There's art galleries and museums and theatre companies. There's an elegance in Siem Reap. What I'm seeing is an openness and willingness to welcome people from everywhere from around the world, and to also make sure that you're happy. Siem Reap is a very friendly city. It's a very easy city to live in. The weather here is beautiful, the nature is beautiful, the trees are beautiful. You have the amazing, temple complexes here in our backyard. And I think there's a friendliness in the people and openness and welcome that will welcome foreigners from everywhere around the world to Siem Reap and make sure that you are comfortable and happy.
This question is related to your future, looking ahead. What are your hopes for Siem Reap over the next 10 years?
Well, I'd certainly like to see an end to this silly border conflict with Thailand. Not only me, I share this with all the Khmer people, is the sadness of what's happening, and we just want it to stop. And if the rest of the world can trust and believe and understand that Siem Reap is a safe place, I would like to see a return to tourism coming back. There is so much beauty here to be experienced by foreigners from all around the world, and at the moment they're staying away, and so I think in the near future I would love to see the tourists come back. I'd love to see more flights into the beautiful new international airport. I'd like to see hotels like this beautiful hotel full. So Siem Reap has so much to offer, and so I hope that soon the tourists will come back.
If someone from other country is thinking about moving to Cambodia, so what advice would you give them?
Okay. This is something I've done many times. I've had many friends from Australia move to Cambodia, and they love it here. Each of my children have been here to visit. I've had other family members come to visit that now live here. I have an uncle who lives in Kampot, was from my same hometown in Australia. And I talk about just the kindness and the happiness that you have here. You don't live with the same stress or pressure that you do back in Australia. Australia is a beautiful country, of course, but there's a such a relaxed, happy atmosphere here in Cambodia. And in Siem Reap, it's an easy place to start because you will find somebody everywhere who can speak English, or if you're from France, they'll speak French, or there's you will make friends easily because everyone here wants to know who you are and why you are here. And, you know, they want you to join in the culture. They want you to participate. They want to share the Khmer culture with you. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yes. Come to my last question.
Yeah.
And the question, as we have discussed earlier, the question is that after nearly 10 years in Cambodia,
Yeah.
so what has Cambodia taught you personally?
Okay, I may get emotional here. Cambodia has taught me to love again, has taught me to trust again, has taught me to open myself to new experiences, to understand that I'll never stop learning. Cambodia has taught me a lot of hard lessons. I've had a lot of trauma and hardship since I've been living here, but the resilience of the Khmer people has taught me that life will only continue to get better. So Cambodia is now my home. I cannot imagine ever living in Australia again. This is where I feel happiest and most at home is in Cambodia. I have 3 adult children in Australia who I visit every year. My youngest daughter is about to have a baby, so soon I'll be a grandfather, and that's exciting. And I imagine in the coming years that my grandchildren will come and visit me in Cambodia, and they'll come and live with me for a while, and I can take them to Khmer schools and they can learn the Khmer language and take those experiences back to Australia with them. Something I'd like to explore is becoming a Cambodian citizen. I would love to have citizenship in this country. So I work very hard at learning the language. Many years ago, I decided I wanted to honour and respect the laws of Cambodia, so I went and got my Cambodian driver's license. I studied the rules, I passed the test, I got a driver's license for a car and a motorbike, so I now have the full Cambodian driver's license like Khmer people do. And so, yeah, one day I'd like to explore the possibility of Cambodian citizenship, because this is my home. This is where I want to live.
Let's come to an end of our conversation, and thank you very much for your sharing your inspiring journey with us today, and also your experience in Cambodia with us. And I think your story reminds us that making a place to live and choose somewhere to live is not about where we want to live, but it reminds us that how we contribute to our community and people around us as well. Yes, and thank you so much for joining us today again.
I am honoured, and
yes,
it was a delight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your watching this episode, The Gems of Siem Reap. I am Hieng Tong with Cambodianess. Som Chum Riep Lia. Goodbye.